Good evening. Good evening. I am just elated to be with you tonight. You know, these are my favorites. I love seeing your faces. When we were gathering, I saw some people who had just completed the lab and some people that are going into the Life Mastery and Soul Centered Living 2 program, and some people I've been talking to who are joining us for the first time. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm just so glad you're here, and I'm so grateful to be joining you tonight for our worldwide community gathering of December. Oh my gosh, we did it. We made it through the year, and we're going to welcome in a new one. And tonight's event is so wonderful. And we're going to be discussing experiencing loyalty to your soul in this season of joy and beyond. And I know I, for one, am really looking forward to tonight. And I'm going to toss it over to the one and only Doctors Ron and Mary Holnick.
Well, gosh, I was hoping to hear what Eliza had to say about all of this. I mean, oh, well, all right.
Welcome, everyone. We're so delighted to be here with you this evening. Oh, my gosh. As Eliza just shared, here we are. It's December. We have completed many things, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But how about if we begin with a centering, Ron? And we'll do our centering. We're going to do our Anna Hughes. For those of you who are new to USM and one of these worldwide community gatherings, we like to chant the tone Anna Hugh. Anna is a tone that evokes empathy and compassion of the heart. And Hugh is an ancient name for God. So together it's a very powerful, powerful chant. So, oh my gosh, it's great seeing your faces. And 406 people RSVP'd. There are already almost 200 of us gathered here, and we know more will be joining. So let's go ahead and begin with our centering. And following the Anna Hughes, then we'll do a 5-minute peace meditation.
Okay. Lord God of all creation, we come before you at this time, this special time of year, where we both honor the presence of your spirit on this planet, celebrating its essence, and moving ahead into our intentions for the upcoming year. We are just so grateful to come together in this way and to share with each other. And we ask, Lord, that we all may be blessed. Right now, we set our intention to move ever more deeply into your essence. And for this time together, Lord, we give our thanks. So be it. Anna.
All right. Well, what's coming forward here this evening will be our 5-minute peace meditation, and the focus is going to be the wealth of health. So, Father, Mother God, once again, we call ourselves forward into your loving, into your light, that luminous light of living love. And we ask that a blessing of the wealth of health and well-being be placed with each one of us who are gathered here, anyone listening to the replay of this evening. And for that matter, we extend this blessing of the wealth of health to all humanity. We ask that whatever dis-ease, whatever imbalance and negativity, whatever physical, physical conditions and maladies, distress, pain, and suffering in our physical bodies and in our consciousness that may be present, but whatever we can release and let go, knowing this is not our essential nature, that our natural state is one of health and wealth, of happiness, that our nature is loving and caring and sharing, that we are the presence of love, the presence of joy. And when we reside in those natural states that are perennially present and available within us, that we can experience the elevation of health and well-being in our consciousness and in our body. And I invite you just now, if there's any state of physical imbalance or dis-ease that you are experiencing in your body or in your consciousness, that you bring forward the strength of your heart and your intention to release it, for it to be lifted and cleared in accordance with your highest good, and that we be restored to our natural state, which is loving. And in so doing, that we may live in the grace and graciousness of who we truly are. So be it.
So be it.
Well, what a year this has been, and December has really been just the extraordinary culmination of all that we've been involved in. At the beginning of this year, we set ourselves a rather courageous course. We decided that we would offer 2 10-month programs. We offered the first year for the first time in an online format.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, what an extraordinary experience this has been. Just this past weekend, we completed that program with a 3-day laboratory in soul-centered living. And it was just extraordinary. It was so glorious. These are students that, other than the audits, we have not ever met in person. Our time together has been exclusively in the online classroom, 1 weekend a month, Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And
You mean Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Mm.
What did I say? It doesn't matter. Saturday and Sunday. Yes, that's right. And to witness these people receiving these skills, these principles, becoming awake in the spiritual context, and the level of the work that they did over the course of the year has just been such a joy to us and a great blessing.
And for those of you who were not in either of those classes, what was absolutely astonishing to us as the thing went on, and it only got more so and more so and more so, was that the level of intimacy and the level of what people were learning was surpassing what we were experiencing in the classroom. This was astonishing to us. We didn't expect that. And when we asked them why that was, I mean, what were they basing that on? The answer that kept coming back was, there's a greater level of intimacy present. How could that possibly be? And they said, less distractions
And in the in-person.
than in the in-person. And I thought,
classes.
whoa, that is, who'd have thunk it? I mean, who'd have thunk it? But there it was.
And of course, the whole thing was powered by love. The energy field has only continued to deepen and to elevate. We had the 9th weekend of Consciousness, Radiant Health and Healing, which has been glorious also. And this time, for the first time, we actually did a trio process having to do with the 9th chakra. And for both programs, not only did the energy deepen and elevate, but so many new processes came forward and so much refinement to the curriculum. So we're excited about what's next. In January, we'll have the Consciousness, Radiant Health and Healing Lab.
We still have that to go.
We have that to go. We're going to be doing 4 days online and very much looking forward to the blessings of that. But also, starting in February, we are going to be offering the Life Mastery and Soul-Centered Living program. It's the 2nd year by a new name. And we're delighted. So many of the first-year students have already registered. It really will be a year to remember. These students are ready to go and fully prepared for the depth and breadth of what this program is. So Eliza, do you want to speak just briefly about that? And then we'll jump into what we have to share this evening.
Yeah, sure. Of course, I'd love to, because talking about the programs at USM is my favorite thing to do. And just to echo what you were saying, Mary, the lab was remarkable, and the students that are moving into year 2 are so ready for this level of work. And it's so exciting to be able to continue together. And it's for anybody who's ever wanted to do year two who hasn't, or anybody who wants to audit year two, I lovingly say to you, this is the time and this is the year. It's such a profound program. And the way I've been talking about it on the phone recently with students who are inquiring, and it just reminds me how magical this year is, where everything works together to provide a sort of alchemy love lab for the deepest level of healing available. And for those of you who have been through the program, you know, like me, it's like where you lay things down for the last time. And I was able to really step into my full authentic self expression and empowerment. And I just invite anybody who has questions about it, who has completed the first year, reach out to me on eliza.swords@universityofsantamonica.edu, or if you're ready to go, you can register on the page. But we just invite you all to come. It's such an incredible, powerful, magical year. And again, the students that are coming into it already are amazing, and it's been so wonderful to be with them. And I hope to see so many of you there.
I think what, we have over 50 already that are.
That's about right. We have about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's incredible. And people are already registering from who like word of mouth found out that it was happening, who are so excited to join the class already. So I really, with open arms, encourage you all to listen inside and see if this is the next step for you, because if it is, it's going to be a great, great year.
And I'd like to add to what Eliza just shared. This will be the last time we'll be doing the second year, really. Not that we're just saying that. This will be the last time that Ron and Mary will be doing this in this format. Because we beyond this coming year, we don't know what the new formats are going to look like. Things are happening so fast. I mean, it's just an amazing time to be alive. I don't know what else to say about it.
Do you want to add anything else before we move on to what we're going to, our themes this evening?
Well, yes, I do have one thing I want to make sure I get in here. I don't want to forget it. And that is that for those people who require, because there are some people who've done the first year, they don't know if they can afford the second year, or they've completed the second year and they don't want to make the outlay to do it again, even though they might like to. There will be a certain degree of funding or scholarship assistance available. And the way that is happening is that we're already receiving some very nice donations to move forward, because grads hear that call and they want to be able to support people. So if that's a concern for you, then who do they speak to? Eliza? Do they call Eliza? Beth? Liza, did they call you about that?
You're welcome to get in touch with me about that. Absolutely. I would love to talk to you about it.
Right. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. So hopefully we can take that off the table. This is going to be like no other second year we've done before. I especially want to extend the information to grads. The invitation to grads, because the world that we are moving into and that will be present next year is like no world we have experienced before. And we want to extend all the support that we possibly can to as many people as we possibly can. So the more of you that come in there and we really hit it out of the park on this, I just think it would be so great. We've already, this year, we had people from something like 17 countries? 20 countries coming into the program. I have no doubt that it's going to be more than that in this coming year. This is really going worldwide. And so we really want to invite as many of you that want to come and play.
And there is something, USM the USM classroom to me has always been a very sacred space, and the people who were called to be a part of it, just amazing people. There is something very special that we experience being gathered not only with people from around the United States, but also from these people around the world, many of whom are participating at very strange hours for them. Some of the people in Europe are up all night in order to be with us, and happy to do so. I must say it has been absolutely extraordinary. And just to add what Ron is saying, yes, there's a level of financial support that the university wishes to make available, but the way that happens really is through those of you that are called to make financial gifts to USM at this time. So your support is always welcome and appreciated.
And they are coming in already. And I guess my word on that is join the club.
All right.
So let's get into tonight's.
Yes. So
meat,
our
so to
theme
speak.
this evening is experiencing loyalty to your soul in the season of joy and beyond. And a handout was posted. Hopefully you have access to that. Mike, can you bring that up for me too, please? And we'll just spend a few minutes reviewing this as a way of priming the pump really for the conversation that we'll be having. And we begin with a quote that was part of Remembering the Light Within.
Wow, that's a Mary Helmet quote.
It is.
Wow.
The hearth of your heart is ever warm with the light of living love. I just love this quote because to me it really expresses that incredible interior warmth and the radiance of the light that is ever present and available within us. And of course, the process of loyalty to your soul is learning how to connect with that place and to reside in that place more and more of the time. So a few comments here. As we enter the holiday season, the kaleidoscope of life during this time of the greater awakening on the planet seems so often in juxtaposition to our intentions for peace, joy, and love. Some days the newsfeed is filled with story after story of escalating trauma, drama, and uncertainty catalyzed by global conditions and events, including environmental upheaval, political and racial unrest, hunger and homelessness, violence, the ongoing pandemic, and the magnitude of human suffering that has become the backdrop of our lives. Where can we turn for a different reflection and experiences of the better angel of our nature? A USM Worldwide Community Gathering is the place for remembering the light within. Let us come together this evening, experiencing the blessings of this season of light, the season of love. Remembering loyalty to your soul involves intention and the practice of soul-honoring choices. That is, more consistently making choices through which we can consciously utilize everyday life experiences as rungs on the ladder of your spiritual growth. Soul-honoring choices support, reflect, and respect the awareness that you are a divine being having and using a human experience, and that there are no mistakes, only continual opportunities for growth, healing, and awakening. So the handout really is here as an opportunity for you to consider some of your own reflections. First, having to do with what does loyalty to your soul mean to you in this season of joy? This is such a beautiful, sacred time of the year. It's the season of light, the season of love, the season of joy. And I know for myself, when I think about loyalty to your soul in this season, it is just a strengthener to my intention to show up to the best of my ability as the presence of love, as the presence of joy, and to avail myself of the flow of energy that's available at this special time of the year. We're also going to invite you to write your intention having to do with loyalty to your soul, with remembering that you're a divine being having and using a human experience for the purpose of awakening. And to me, would you go back just a little bit, Mike? To me, intention is so powerful. It's a way that we can align our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our choices in the direction of the experience that we intend for ourselves. So my intention is to live my life in harmony with choices that support loyalty to my soul. That is a very powerful intention that will begin to inform the choices that I make. All right, and the next question for your reflection. Many of you here this evening are USM grads. Some of you may have read Loyalty to Your Soul or Remembering the Light Within. So the question, what practices do you find support you in experiencing loyalty to your soul in all seasons? Not only this season of joy, but in all seasons. And there's so many practices that we all have had the blessing and privilege of learning, seeing the loving essence, heart-centered listening, responsibility, one choice, responsibility to ownership, cleansing the lens of our perception, compassionate self-forgiveness. What are your favorites? And what are those that seem to bring you back to being centered in your loving, centered in your heart, and more awake and aware of the spiritual context? So we invite you to reflect on those and make whatever notes you'd like about your favorite practices that are your go-tos that really support you.
And you may find that as a result of this evening, some come into your consciousness that you want to just write down. Things you go, oh, gee, I think I'd like to write that down. I want to remember that. And then I think we have a David Hawkins quote at the end of
well,
that.
We have one more. Yes, we have one more, Ron.
Excuse me.
And I love this question. What gifts and blessings innate to the better angel of your nature can you activate and share in this season of joy? It's like these gifts and blessings are part of who you are at your authentic self level. They're part of your essential nature. Your authentic self is the better angel of your nature. So what gifts and blessings can you activate and share in this season of joy? And to me, this is a very important focus and question. For some of you, it may be through a process of service. It may be that you recognize that there's something about your way of being that is the way that you share the gift and blessing of who you truly are. And now, Ron, we have the David Hawkins quote.
You don't need to subdue the ego. Oh, thank God. You just need to stop identifying with it. And one of our favorite authors, David Hawkins.
Beautiful. So we invite you to reflect on these questions. You can make notes as we continue on into and through the evening. We're going to open this up for some sharing. We're going to invite you to start with your name. If you're new to USM, if you would indicate that, We're going to ask that you go to the heart of whatever it is that you would like to share. If there's a question that you have, that you bring forward the question, and we'll do our best to respond to it. And I would just say all of you are welcome to share.
And one thing I realized I forgot to mention, don't think for a minute that there's not going to be some programs available for new people. We will have some very tailor-made workshops. That's still all in.
Well, we have been so busy this year delivering the two programs that we have been doing, but there are already some beautiful ideas, and we do intend to do a very special edition of Loyalty to Your Soul online for newcomers early next year.
So stay tuned.
Yes. All right. So Carlos.
Can't hear you.
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Hi, Ron and Murray.
Hi.
Hi. Well, thank you very much for an amazing year. It was really amazing. It was really beautiful. My question to you is, well, perhaps I'm going to give a little bit of context. It's kind of funny that like a year ago, I had the same, question which was regarding business leadership and expansion. And tonight I'm bringing the same issue, but with different eyes and different approach, right? So it happened to me that I'm in a position where I no longer need necessarily to go through a legal claim and demand and this sort of court thing in order to resolve an issue of payments and ownerships, etc., shares. But they're giving me an opportunity to write to a very important business person in order to resolve business issues truly for the highest good of all concerned. Sorry if I'm not being too specific, but there's so much confidentiality in these agreements. So two things that come to mind. The first one is thank you very much for freeform writing, because that helps a lot for me to clear. And the second thing was, if you could guys share a bit more on your experience with steadfast integrity, because that for me really changed everything, related to other business parts of this issue, myself, my own company, as opposed to being focused on the claims and who owes to what and what happened in the story, being really focused on steadfast integrity really keeps me on track. So I figured before I write the letter to this very, very, very important business person who's going to fact check and etc., I wanted to bring this up to your attention. If I can receive some guidance, regarding how I can also write in that spirit. Thank you.
For many people, maybe even most people, business is all about a certain kind of outcome. And that outcome has to do with financial gain. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you don't have financial gain in your business, you're not going to be in that business for too long. But what is becoming more and more prevalent is how you conduct your business. Are there ways you can conduct your business with more, I'll just call it a sense of loving, a sense of caring, a sense of honesty, a sense of fairness, a sense of caring for your customers, so that when you come across to them on the phone or training your people when they come across to their customers and other business people on the phone or online as we're doing now, that they come across from a caring place, from a place that says, yes, I want to make a profit, but I want to do it in such a way with you where we have a heartfelt experience at the same time. Is that possible? Most people have never even thought of it that way.
That's true. Yeah.
And what we have found is that the more that you can do it that way, not only does your business more likely to thrive, but the experience that you're going to have while you're engaged in it is going to be much more fulfilling because you're adding to the sum total of, I'll call it the goodness present in the world. But what it really is the loving energy present in the world. And then, as you know, there are things that one can do, practices that they can engage in that do the very thing I'm talking about.
And my encouragement to you relative to this letter that you're going to be writing, Carlos, would be to meditate on it. Mm-hmm. Meditate on the letter. Ask for Spirit's guidance, wisdom, inspiration. Make notes of the ideas that come to you. Write the letter such that it rides on a clear, neutral energy so that there's no againstness in the letter, no judgment, no righteousness, no wrong-making. And, you know, Stephen Covey, in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of his principles is begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. And what you said indicated to me that part of what's important to you is that it really be a highest good of all concerned outcome. Did I understand that accurately?
Yes. Here's the thing. I'm actually selling the business to a major player.
Yes.
It's just it just happened that the major player didn't know the exact number of shares that I own in that particular business until some coincidences around the world brought that to the attentions of the lawyers of this major player. So as I'm bringing those facts to the attention of the CEO of the company through the lawyers, there's a lot of information that I should provide.
Then I encourage you to provide it in a clear way that is easily as understandable to anyone reviewing it as possible, so that it's not only well organized, but the information is clearly stated.
Yeah, and I love that. I love this thing you said about the begin with the outcome in mind, because for me that is very clear now. I didn't know it before, but now it's very, very clear the exact number of shares, and my request is crystal clear regarding that. It's just that through the process, I realized that I had so many judgments of wrongdoing, good doing, these things, So I understand.
Well, and you mentioned freeform writing earlier, and I do encourage you, the more you can let go of the judgments, the better. That's part of the steadfast integrity. That's part of being loyal to your soul in this situation. This is part of taking a situation that is involves quite a few elements that are very goal line related, having to do with the sale of your company and an equitable financial outcome, but utilizing the soul line opportunity, which you identified as steadfast integrity, to utilize, hold in that place. And also, Carlos, it's so important to clear the judgments, to let go of them, to really let go of them, because then it's like you let go of attachment to the outcome going in a particular direction. You have intention, you know what your preferred outcome is. But if you can let go of the judgment and say to Spirit, please guide me in the communication I prepare, and I surrender the outcome. I'm going to do everything that I can to present this in a way that will have a positive outcome, but not my will, thine be done. In other words, you move to a place of willingness to accept how the universe moves here with this. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally follow. And part of the challenge to me is that all of the business counsels and the lawyers that are around suggest the opposite. They suggest, like, you should be very angry at this. This is not fair. Claim this, claim that. It's very funny because I bring to the table this the loving, and
Yes.
At first they don't understand, but later on when things get more clear, they're like, wow, how did that happen? Because the outcomes are better. I do have one friend who is not only my legal counsel and a very brilliant man, but also he's European, but also understands these things. But he's very, very loving. That I'm so grateful that he's like an angel to me. He has been advising the most clear, positive, loving, professional ways to communicate to the buyer of my shirt, and it's been a blessing. But the other part of the challenge is also the timing, because in order for me to clear the judgments, to do free from writing, to stay very focused, and so on, it needs to meet a deadline, because the transaction is coming very, very soon, and for everybody to be on the same page, and for me to keep writing into the loving, it requires, it's very challenging to meet timing too, because it's not, let's say, it's not like they're giving me months for me to sell, such huge thing, to them, which represents great things for everybody. Yeah.
You might be very surprised. You might be very surprised to discover that things move a lot quicker than you ever thought they could, the more you come into alignment with it as fast as possible.
To alignment?
Say again?
You said alignment?
Yes.
Come into alignment.
So you come into your place inside where you exist in the loving, and your prayer is for the highest good of all concerned, the benefit. You may be very surprised the way things out there somehow or other happen faster than you thought they ever could.
And I encourage you, Carlos, you've just completed the first year. You know that one of the major tools that we present and work with repetitively in the program is compassionate self-forgiveness. And compassionate self-forgiveness is the cosmic delete button for judgment, for misinterpretations of reality, for misidentifications. And, you can do freeform writing of all of the judgments to purge them, get them out, and follow it with massive self-forgiveness. You can ask for Spirit's assistance in helping you wipe the slate of judgment having to do with this matter clear, to have it wiped clean for the highest good of all concerned. And, the more surrendered you become, the more Spirit can come in to work with you and through you and assist you in letting go of the judgment. I encourage you not to pressure yourself about this, but rather,
Thank you, because I did that at the beginning.
Yes, I get that. But my encouragement is to come into the clarity of your intention, to release the judgment, to utilize this whole experience, which I get is your intention, to use it for your growth, learning, and upliftment. You know that that's one of the foundational guidelines that we have here at USM. Use everything for your growth, learning, and upliftment. So you're really learning how to reside in your steadfast integrity, how to let go of judgment, and how beautiful that you have this friend that you manifested who sounds like a positive projection of the better angel of your own nature, Carlos. He sounds like a real ally. And I encourage you, all you need to do is do your best. Do your best. And you are.
Yeah, thank you. He's an angel, and he's reflecting a lot of beauty to me. And perhaps one last thing is, what's your advice regarding dealing with people who might be very terrified about this situation? Because, see, for me, it's surrender to Spirit, but for so many people, the consciousness is they're going to fire me. I might lose my job. So what's how can I deal with others?
Part of what's really important is to not identify with their fear.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is a very interesting question. You know about ideal scenes?
Yeah, and living visions. I've been working on them. And
yes. And you know about the power of intention?
For sure. Yeah.
And you know about the power of encouraging and prizing people?
That I think only intellectually, perhaps, because well, I mean, in this situation, there hasn't been or hadn't been too much time for pricing, because everybody was like,
there's a great deal of power in holding the vision of the positive outcome for the highest good. There's a great deal of power in holding the vision of the intended outcome for the highest good of all concerned. And Carlos, my own experience is sometimes when things didn't go the way that I hoped they would, in retrospect, it's like one door was closing, but it was leading to another door that was leading to a different future that was going to be much better, and that was, in fact, much better. And I think the David Hawkins quote at the bottom of the handout is very relevant here. You don't need to subdue the ego. You just need to stop identifying with it. Don't give energy to the fear. Hold the vision and encourage others to do that. And if it turns out that they do lose their job, then whatever you can do to work and support and encourage them, to assist them in preparing themselves to move on, then you do that. We're going to need to go on, Carlos.
No, it's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
Thank you.
Jennifer.
I'm not Jennifer. Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll come back to Jennifer. We seem to have lost her for now.
All right. So then, all right, since you're here, Dee, let's hear.
Go with you.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that.
All right, not your responsibility.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Number one, that conversation with Carlos was just so beautiful. Thank you. I feel like it's something I needed to hear. As I'm starting a coaching business in January, and everything that you just said to him just resonates so profoundly. I tried starting this coaching business last year, and somewhere inside I knew something wasn't right, and I know what wasn't right. I wasn't in alignment, so it probably wasn't going to come out the way spirit would would present. So thank you for that. But my question is really a completely separate question. It has to do with could you talk about involuntary out-of-body experiences? Like, do they mean something? Where do they come? Well, why do they happen? Are there messages? Is there a reason for out-of-body experiences when you're not necessarily trying to have an out-of-body experience and they just happen? Well, what's the meaning behind that?
Well, and we're talking about things that happen naturally, not things that are drug-induced, right?
Absolutely. Like in meditation, just like popping out of body.
There can be sudden, unexpected upward shifts in consciousness. I'm sure if we had spiritual sight and could see from the highest levels, we would have a complete understanding of their purpose. And you know that part of spiritual psychology is really a principle that has to do with the perspective that everything is for us. Everything is for us. So sometimes what people experience is an infusion of light energy that is an incredible expansion, an incredible expansion. And I remember many, many years ago, it was before we lived here in California, we were here participating in a particular training. And near the end of the training, maybe it was at the very end, one of the women who I believe was an assistant in the training, perhaps she was a participant, but she was totally filled with light. Her face became absolutely translucent, just radiant, beyond radiant. It was translucent. And it was a glorious experience for her and for everyone that had the privilege of witnessing this experience. And so there are times, it's like somebody years ago gave us a beautiful wall piece, and what it says is God is present, bidden or unbidden. God is present, bidden or unbidden. And sometimes this infusion of light comes in such that we can fully experience our soul, such that we can fully experience the God within.
Okay. I heard you speak about spiritual sight before in the class. Um, and I'm assuming, I think that means that maybe there's some people who are able to see in the spirit world and maybe perhaps assist in terms of giving meaning to certain things. Is that what a person who would have spiritual sight would
A
do?
person who has spiritual sight either has been given to them as a gift and or they've done a great deal of work within their own consciousness to clear the static on the channel, the static being their own unresolved issues, the things that would block them from the awareness of their essential loving nature and the essential loving nature in others. Someone who is a psychic, they look up through the fields of illusion. So what they see has distortion and illusion in it because they're looking up through the fields of illusion. Someone who has the gift of spiritual sight sees from spirit. They see clearly. They see clearly, and they see from what I would speak of as the divine unknowing, which is within the realms of God consciousness. And so they have access to the karmic records, they have access to what God consciousness includes. So these higher dimensions are really beautiful, and there are people who reside in these in full consciousness and full presence.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason I'm asking is because I feel like I've never had out of body experiences until the last 6 weeks or so, and I've had like 4 or 5 of them. And the very last one, while when I popped out of my body, it was, what's the word? The closest word that comes to mind is tranquil, like equanimity. There was just pure equanimity. Yet, and it was like I was looking down at my body, right? But the body could have been me just as much as the table could have been me. There was no feeling, and yet, Mary, my body, this body was convulsing. It was having what looked like an epileptic
Yes.
attack. But like when I was looking at it, I didn't feel, there was no feeling of fear or anything. And then it wasn't a thought. There were no thoughts. I don't know how long I was in that state, but I know that there was a choice of, do I come back into the body or do I know that there was a choice, and I know that a choice was made to come back in. And when I came back in, it was almost like for the very first time, I just embraced all of this body, like all of it. And it almost felt like, I think I mentioned before that I have a working diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. It almost felt like, regardless of what can be healed in this body will be healed. And if there's anything that isn't going to be healed, then that's just part of my journey. And I am fully accepting of it. I don't know if I made that up. I don't feel like I made, because there's no talking. It's almost just like intuition. Yeah. And I was just hoping, or I guess maybe looking to see if someone else with spiritual sight or something could give me more insight.
Oh, yes. And we'll ask Bonnie to give you a reference, someone that you could speak to about this. But the other thing I would encourage you, I don't know if you are familiar with the book Dying to Be Me.
No.
It's an incredibly It's an incredible book written by Anita Moorjani, and it relays her experience of her body. Her body was riddled with cancer, and she had an experience where she was taken up into the light, and she was healed. And she writes about this in depth. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book, and really speaks to the kind of experience that you just referred to.
Okay.
There is one piece of information that we could share with you, because in the ways that we used to do labs in the small groups, that was not an uncommon experience for us to witness. And people would just start going into what you might call the shakes, and invariably they would go down on the floor and they would be lying there like that. And you could probably relate to what I'm talking about. And the shaking and all of that is the excess energy that was just trying to, get out of the body at that time. And our advice to them, almost invariably, at least at the beginning, we say, just let that be, just relax, just let that be. Ask for the light to be present, and just let that be and relax. And then it would proceed accordingly. I know that Kirk Souter is present here today, and he reminded me of a book. And Kirk, for the life of me, I can't remember what it was, but
maybe he can post it in the chat.
Maybe you could post it in the chat that we could talk about, where someone who had that experience and really wrote about it in great depth in a very enlightening way.
And Anita Moorjani's is gorgeous. I think you would really love it, Dee.
Thank you so much. It really is just so, it's relieving to actually be in conversation with people who actually know what's happening, because it can be terrifying without context.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you have no sense of what's going on, it can be very terrifying.
It can be terrifying even if you do have a sense of what's going on.
But it's worse if you don't.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you. Danielle?
Do you want to call Jennifer because we called her earlier?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Ron and Mary. So
Hi.
nice to see you both. So, boy, I just wanted to first of all say thank you for year 2. My Sacred Yes project is coming to a close in 5 days, even though it's been, the end anyway. I'm finishing my nurse practitioner journey that I started there, and I just had my last clinical day today.
Wow.
And yeah, so just finishing my capstone this week, but
Well done. I so acknowledge you. You had such clear vision and intention and willingness to walk through what all this has been and complete it. It's fabulous. And thank you for the beautiful message you sent us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. And this week, John and I were talking about our time in year 2 together, year 1 and 2, but year 2, or maybe it was year 1 that Ron was saying, people who, I can't remember the statistic, but it was something about people who take USM, how their income is also positively correlated with the years of USM service. And I'm finding that as this process of graduating is ending, I'm getting a couple of job offers, and I'm trying to sort through how to make the decision of where to go. And at the same time, we're going to be empty nesters pretty soon, and John is retiring pretty soon, and we have it feels like the world is like open to us in a way that is miraculous. And I can see like the 10-year vision really clearly, but like it's this in the meantime, the steps to go there, I don't have clarity about, how to have a clear intention for what is the next step. Where I feel like in the past, it's always been really clear to me, what is the next step? And it felt like I would know. Now I have a longer time horizon. And I was glad when you said at the beginning, like, we're going to talk about, the intentions for the coming season. And I just want to throw it out there. I'm not clear how to take next steps.
Well, so I have a few questions, if I may, Danielle.
Please.
One question, it's like, is there a specialty associated with your training and your interests?
Yes, I love women's health. And the 2 job offers that I got this week are both in women's health. So that feels really exciting. I also love pediatrics, but right now the opportunity is in women's health. Yes.
And it sounds like my sense is you're pleased with these opportunities.
I am. I'm in awe of how powerfully Spirit is moving to just show evidence. I'm taking it as evidence that I'm on the right path.
Yes, yes. And I want to be a voice here. It's like you don't need a 10-year plan. You don't need a 10-year plan.
You don't want a 10-year plan.
There's an old saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Mm. And I just encourage you in trusting that you are being shown and guided. My impression would be that you could accept either one of these and it would be a positive, it would be a blessing. I don't know if that's your assessment of them. Perhaps there's one that you feel more drawn to than the other.
I feel that's accurate. I think both are a blessing. And I do feel that there's more to come. Not necessarily in terms of offers, but like I feel like it's an unfolding, and maybe it's take the next step in order to see the next step.
Right. Exactly. Because Ron and I have had talks about this years ago, that it's like, when I look back at my life, I can see the divine perfection of all of the major choice points and the choices that were made, and then the doors that opened subsequent. But back here, I couldn't possibly see the door that was 5 doors in. Mm. So, and this is really, I think, affirmation of the importance of your spiritual practice, your meditation, the continuing to do the inner work, all of the practices that support you in your awakening and that support you in experiencing your own alignment with your own soul essence, with who you really are. I mean, nursing is an expression of soul's purpose for you, is my impression, having known you and just witness how strong this intention is and has been within you. And so you're answering the call.
I remember the first experience I had with getting a quality and an affirmation. I was really having a hard time. And this was at an insight training, as I recall. And I went over to the facilitator. I said, I'm just having a hard time with this. And he just reached out, he poked me, he just touched me right here, and I just went right down on the floor. And I said, as I lay there, trust came in. Mm-hmm. And the affirmation came right following it. I trust my love and I share it openly. And that has been my quality and affirmation probably for the last 50 years.
Wow. That's a beautiful story.
You don't have to know the whole, you don't need to know the whole story. You don't need a 10-year plan.
You don't even want it because things are changing much, much too rapidly, especially in
Yes.
today's world.
Sure.
You know, and really, if you consider that you have a knowing of true north, would you say that's accurate?
I do feel
Yes.
that. Yes.
I just encourage you, you will be shown and you will be guided. Stay in the present,
Okay.
pay attention.
And dare to trust spirit.
Okay. That's really beautiful guidance. Thank you both so much.
And to me, that what we just spoke about, I'm so glad you brought this forward, because to me, what you asked and this conversation really underscores some very simple but powerful keys how to stay loyal to your own soul as you navigate physical world reality.
Hmm.
It's wonderful to see you.
It's wonderful to see you both.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Jennifer.
Hello, I'm Jennifer. Sorry about that. It was a mute problem before.
Not a problem.
So I have been, I need some guidance on a health issue that I've been experiencing the last probably 2 months. And it's this tingling in my left leg. And my intuition at first was that it was stress related because I've been under a tremendous amount of stress lately. And it kept going on and on and on. So I got an MRI last week, and I've had a herniated disc for 21 years, but now there's another one that's having some issues. And so from the physical standpoint, I'm taking care of that. But I'm wondering, a karmic healer told me the left leg has something to do with security. And I'm wondering, I know sometimes married people bring these kinds of questions to you and you sometimes have other insight in it. And I'm wondering if you have other insight or if that's been yours, feeling that the left leg represents a security.
Not necessarily. But may I ask you a question? You mentioned distress. Could you tell me just briefly about the stress?
Yeah, so it's been really around the loss of freedoms that are happening in this country. And this whole pandemic, I haven't been afraid of the virus at all. I have been living my life like I've always lived it. And I never went into fear about it until this sense of liberty and freedom is going away. And it scares me to death. And there's so much attached to that. It's like, well, I am in one of the more challenging places to live in California, and that has the most sort of aggressive restrictions and mandates and all this stuff. And so I feel like, well, I want to move, but then I have my daughter and her dad lives here. And so that brought up a whole other level of stuff. And just been really scared about, well, what does that mean for me and my work? And that brings up a whole other, so it's just like all these things sort of layered on top of each other from this central fear space that I've been in.
Have you given this tingling a voice?
No, and I knew you were going to say that. It's funny because I wrote that down as, you know, one of the tools that I could do. And when I was in lab this last weekend, this thing about Gestalt, I don't know what it is. I feel, I don't know, I get really insecure about it. I feel silly. I feel like it doesn't feel comfortable to me. I don't know. And so I resist it.
Yeah. And if I may reflect to you, some of that may be that you can't control it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Um, a couple of things come into my awareness, and you can see if they have any relevance.
Mhm.
Is this affecting your mobility?
No, not yet. I still do my Peloton like 4 or 5 days a week. I have noticed like it's not constant. It's kind of comes and goes throughout the day. But I have noticed that it's gotten a little bit more regular in the past week. And
I would encourage you in freeform writing.
that's another one of my notes that I wrote.
And the reason I say that, when John Roger brought forward that tool, there's a wonderful there's wonderful information that he shared about it. That very often freeform writing can help clear what are considered discontinuous energies that are in the unconscious that contribute to all kinds of different things, including physical conditions. I would also I would encourage you to look at the issue of control and the part of you that would seek certainty. I also suggest that there may be an opportunity here having to do with cooperating.
Yes. Yeah, and this I think this has been sort of a theme for me. That is coming up in such a big way right now.
Yeah.
This idea, because I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and I felt like someone was always telling me what to do. And
Yeah.
so I felt, now I feel like, with regard to what I shared earlier, it's like, don't tell me what to do. Don't try to, I can do what I want with my body, like stop, and it's this feeling of like just resistance of this power that is trying to control me or make choices for me.
Yes. So, and I hear you, and I also hear that vulnerable younger one inside of you. And I so encourage you to give her a voice, to really give her a voice, for her to be able to say, you're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. Whatever is in there, Jennifer, that wants to be expressed. And I encourage you in compassionately relating with her, listening to her. There's something so important and powerful, as you know, in being seen and heard.
Yes.
Seen and heard. And there may be some awareness that will come forward that will provide you with awareness of what the inner decisions were that you made when you were growing up, associated with these older brothers and sisters and parents and whoever else thought they were the boss of you. And
well, that's funny, because I then was accused of being bossy. I remember in like 5th grade, I remember like the girls going against me because I was bossy. And it was like, it's so funny. Then after that, I think I switched and became not bossy and let people kind of dictate what I could or couldn't do. So
after you did, girls kind of confronted
yeah,
you.
it was such a challenging time to have all my friends turn against me. And what I heard or what I recall is then I would ask, well, why were you well, you're bossy. And I thought that's so funny because, it's like,
Well, but it's so understandable, Jennifer.
yeah,
It's really, to me, just very, very understandable if you felt that they were very bossy towards you. Well, the bossiness could get associated with a sense of power and control,
yeah,
certain degree of authority or whatever. And so then you adopt that, you adapt to that, but then you get feedback that then led you to shift. But I think this is all important because it sounds like there's like some nuggets in here having to
I
do.
think there's a lot. I mean, I feel like there's so much. And I think that's why I was so scared to raise my hand, but then I also knew that I just needed some confirmation that there is just so much there that it's almost scary to look at.
Well, I hear you, and I acknowledge your courage in coming forward here this evening, Jennifer, and coming back around a second time. Because when you went off the screen, I thought, oh my God, I wonder if she got scared.
No, it was not letting me unmute, and I didn't realize the host had to unmute or whatever. But anyway.
But I acknowledge your courage, and I encourage you. It's like it's like you could think of this as a pocket of unprocessed material that is very important curriculum for you. And I just encourage you to approach it compassionately, with loving kindness, with a willingness to hear yourself, and to receive whatever is there, to allow it to come up, to work with it, to bring compassion. And remember, how you relate to the issue is the issue. So, and as you said, there's a lot here because there are a number of different experiences and energies associated with each of those experiences.
Yeah.
So what's present for you right now?
I know, as hard as I may perceive it to be, I know it's essential. And I'm hoping that by doing that, I can clear what's going on with my leg. It's like my nerves. It's not like a radiating pain. It's like, it almost feels like my nerves are shaking, but when I feel my leg's not moving. It's really deep. So I feel like that's why I felt like I don't think it's just on the physical level. I think, yes, there's probably something going on also, but I think more than that, my intuition was really telling me that this is more of a spiritual and mental issue that I can clear, that I don't.
That there's material inside associated with it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And, my impression, given everything that you've shared, is that perhaps there's a part of this that really is an opportunity for opening to receive the feminine and the nurturing. It's okay. It's okay to just let that come forward. It's okay, Jennifer.
Yeah, because I so often feel, being a single mom and having to be strong, and then
Yeah.
with the family dynamic of me having to be defensive, and I had to take care of, I had to be defensive all the time, I felt, because I had to take care of myself with all those kids. It was like I had to just I had to have my fists up all the time to just survive, and so when you say feminine energy, I do feel disconnected to that, because I feel like I have to be the father and the mother, and I have to be strong for her, and I have to,
Yeah.
so I feel like I definitely have taken on a lot of masculine energy.
Yes. Yes. And there's an opportunity here for a softening, and perhaps for opening into the awareness that tenderness is strength.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm remembering when I was back in school, and I remember when you made your first reference to vulnerability as strength, and I was not buying into that at all until you said that. I mean, I bought into it as soon as you said that, but it took me a while to really, really get that, because to me, it was a weakness. But I know I'm clear now that it's not. I know that it's a strength, but I think there's a part of me that still holds that as weakness. And it's just a matter of shifting that part that still believes that.
Yes.
Probably the ego still thinking that.
Well, but think of it possibly this way, Jennifer. It's like growing up in the family that you did, with the curriculum that was playing out there. It's like, no way was vulnerability going to be an asset in that environment, given what you were experiencing and how you interpreted it and all of that. Yeah. So, a part of you adapted in a particular way, and it served you then. But it's like at where you are now in consciousness, what you're dealing with, it's like my sense is that not only is there the opportunity for this presence of the nurturance and tenderness and loving kindness and deep compassion and empathy of the feminine within you. There's an opportunity really for revisiting the inner decisions that were made when you were growing up, to revisit them.
Yeah.
And to have compassion for the one who made them. And to recognize, oh, these were intended to really serve me, and they did serve me at that time.
Right.
But here and now, there's an opportunity for updating.
Thank you for that. That's perfect. Just what I needed to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your sharing. And it's beautiful just seeing the softening in your face in these last few minutes.
Thank you.
Really beautiful. And I encourage, I think Ron has something he wants to add too.
Okay.
It's a good thing to keep in mind that it's not like that's a pattern that applies to everything. It's a very selective pattern. For example, when you're driving down the road, do you generally try to do your best to stay on the right side of the line in the middle of the road? Do you even think about it?
No.
No. Do you stop at red lights?
Yes.
So and if you think about it, there's 100 of rules like that you obey simply because that's the way we do things here. So you've picked out a couple of these things that for you they just trigger that which is the kind of thing Mary's been talking with you about. So I wouldn't treat it as like a pattern that I'm, obsessed with in every area of my life. It's a very special thing. And once you realize the dynamics, like Mary was sharing with you, it's really it's a relatively I don't want to say easy, that's not the word, but doable thing to let go of those kinds of things, because it's so easy to prove to yourself that there are so many exceptions to that rule. That is there really even a rule, or you're just using that to surface some particular fear?
Okay.
This makes it a lot easier to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Blessings of light.
Thank you.
All right, so let's see here. Who is our iPhone visitor?
Hey, it's Stephen.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
Wonderful to see you.
Wonderful to see you guys as well. Gosh, I'm not really sure where to begin here. Let's see, I'm just in this really kind of low place. Been here for a long time. Lost my job in 2018, at the end of 2018. I was a coach, college coach, and for years, and I just since then, just couldn't really. I haven't been able to find my way, and just been doing some different things, living off of savings. That's come and dwindled down, and I just have not been able to. I create a living vision or some ideal scenes, and I am just not. I have ideas of what I want to do, but they don't really seem genuine and right, or I'm just not following through. I'm just not following through on anything. And I find myself now in desperation, lived right through my savings and my wife's and everything else. And I'm down to like, I took a job in San Diego. We kind of made it out here to California. I took a job in San Diego last month, and as odd as it sounds, I worked for 2 weeks, and then I was let go after 2 weeks because there was an issue that came up with my security clearances with the Navy and back with the Navy, and I had my security clearance revoked that I didn't even know that I had, and that basically made me lose my job, and I'm probably not going to be able to get it back because the government moves really slow in terms of this process. So I was like, why did I come all the way out to Los Angeles, try to find my way here, and then all of a sudden I get a job in San Diego, and then I lost it, and I'm just back to that same kind of place. I'm just kind of really low, just feel really worthless. I've been feeling that for a long, long time. And if I go back, I can remember feeling that when I was 2, 1. Maybe I came into this world that way. I don't know. That's how far back it feels like it went. Sorry. Did I lose you guys? No.
No, we're here. We're here.
So I it's like I look at, I just get a job at Starbucks, but I feel like that's just, for someone who doesn't have a job, I feel like beggars can't be choosers, but it's like, I don't want to go there. And then I'm not finding anything else that I'm interested in. I'm just stuck. I just feel all this stuckness. And I don't know. I know that's a lot and a big variance of information, but I'm not really sure where to go, what to do.
Yeah. First of all, I hear that it has been challenging, and it's been challenging for a period of years. A reminder about, I think, one of the perhaps most important things. It's like what you do in the world, the work you do, does not define you, and it is not the measure of your worth and value.
I really just, without a job and some sort of like contribution, that's how I feel.
I hear you, and I really do hear you, and I empathize with what you're saying. You know, what I encourage you in, Stephen, I heard you mention Starbucks, and I just encourage you, whatever is available to you, if it's Starbucks, I would encourage you to take it, and because it will give you, if you frame it in a particular way, you could hold it as a way that you show up serving people, but also you can choose to be the presence of love as you do that. That through your way of being, that you can choose to not only be a blessing to yourself, but a blessing to your coworkers, a blessing to the people that you're serving. This could lift you faster than anything, Stephen. And I realize it's not a long-term aspiration for you. It's not something that you would be intending to be the way you make your livelihood. But I do encourage you, if that kind of opportunity is available to you, yes. It's like I encourage you, because you can utilize it to assist yourself in I'm not thinking of the word, but you can use it as an opportunity to reframe what's going on. And you can utilize it as an opportunity to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Okay.
Yes. And I encourage you. I hear how difficult this is. What's so important is don't give in to the idea that your worth and value is determined by what you do. You are a divine loving being, no matter what the situation or circumstances. And my encouragement to you is bring forward the strength of your heart.
Bring forward what?
The strength of your heart.
Okay.
You have a beautiful heart. You're a loving man. You're a capable man. Yes, you've had some difficult things transpire. Do you have something you'd like to add, Ron?
See, from what you're saying, the biggest challenge that you're really facing is that you are fulfilling that which is your innermost powerful affirmation, and that is that you're worthless.
I feel that way all the time.
Excuse me?
I feel that way all the time. You're right.
So if you feel that way all the time, then that's what you're going to be creating out in the world. But as one of the prime tenets is that what you tell yourself or what you believe about yourself is what controls the way things go in your life.
Creates your reality.
So your primary task, the other thing to remember is feelings follow thoughts. Feelings follow thoughts. So the place that you really have to get busy is in reprogramming your consciousness so that it reflects all of the things that are brought forward in spiritual psychology. That's what it's all about. And that's why we say how you relate to the issue is the real issue. So if you keep going around reinforcing your valuelessness, that's what you keep creating. It's like Spirit is saying, oh, okay, since that's what you're asking for, here, we'll show you what that's like.
Yeah.
But you can change that on a dime, because the truth is that you're a spiritual being having a human experience, and that your inherent nature is love. But for some reason, you have simply forgotten that.
Yeah.
And you're not the Lone Ranger. This is part of the human condition, is our forgetting our essential nature.
So what Mary was saying about Starbucks makes good sense. I mean, I have to admit I'm a frequenter of Starbucks, and because of my nature, I tend to bring forward from some of the baristas some very lively conversation and ways in which they tend to be very effusive about how they just love what they're doing because it's an opportunity to bring loving to every person that they serve that day. They don't have to tell them that. It's just the way that they relate to them. I insist upon seeing their value, whether they see it or not. Just as right here and right now, I see your value, whether you see it or not, as does Mary.
I'm smiling because I'm thinking of experience I had a couple of months ago at a Starbucks. Ron and I came in together, and I had on sort of a lavender colored mask, and I was wearing a sweater that was about the same color. And the barista started telling me how great I looked and how they loved the color. And it just really made my day. I mean, it was genuine. I could tell it was authentic on his part. But oh my gosh, Stephen, what an opportunity to show up, to prize people, to hold the service consciousness. And just doing that, you will start to, the energy that you've been experiencing
will shift.
It will shift. It will start to shift. You know, and as Ron said, it's like attitude in this is so important. And you know that this is something that you came to work with. And I encourage you in utilizing the tools that you learned at USM. Create an affirmation. It can be simple. It can be, I'm the presence of love, bringing joy and upliftment wherever I go. I love myself no matter what. That's actually one of my favorite all-time affirmations, particularly for when the going gets rough. I love myself no matter what. That has been a godsend.
And you may want to consider auditing the second year next year. You know, and I hear from what you've said already that finances might be a problem or might be a challenge.
Yeah.
See, just take that. You can start running in your mind, well, oh God, easier said than done. I haven't got the finance. I mean, and you could go down that street.
Yeah.
Or you could say, well, you know what? I'm just going to apply and see what comes my way.
Okay.
So you start shifting the story that you have bought into, which we know, and I have to say we know because we've seen it thousands of times, we know it's an untrue story. unless you want to hold the record for the person that stays in their negative story for the most amount of years during their life. But I don't see that there's an awful lot of,
There's no upside in that.
there's no upside. There's no upside. And it's not true. It's just not true.
Mhm.
How do I know it's not true? Because you're a divine loving being. How do I know that's true? Because everybody is.
Yeah.
If you weren't, you wouldn't be here in the first place.
Okay.
Are we being clear enough here for you?
Yeah, you're being clear. Very clear. Crystal
And
clear.
our message really is intended, Stephen, to be a message of love and support,
And
of
support.
encouragement. Encouragement.
You,
Take
you,
action. Take what's available. Make the most of it. See what doors open.
and you know what? You will do this sooner or later because it's everybody's destiny.
Yeah.
To awaken.
I have a couple part-time jobs that are possibilities, but they're just really part-time job. There's one in Santa Barbara and one in
It doesn't
San
matter.
Diego, but they don't really, I don't know.
It doesn't really matter what the jobs are. How you relate to the issue is the issue. What you are holding in your consciousness is the issue.
And the thing of it is, with intention, with great attitude, with willingness, something part-time, all of a sudden they say, this guy,
This guy's got talent.
he's got talent. What else can he do?
Okay.
Keep in touch.
Yes, please keep us posted.
Oh, well, thank you.
And our love to both you and Tracy.
Thank you.
Yeah, blessings. All right. So let's see, one more, Ron?
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
maybe two. I don't know. It depends on
Well,
how
we're
long.
going to do a little guided meditation at the end too.
Okay.
So, all right, here. All right, Lori.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, it's good to see you two. The prodigal daughter has come home. Um, I would love to. Let me just start this by saying how much USM is inside of me. I don't remember by word what to do, but by behavior, it comes through. And I didn't entertain everybody in the hospital because I set out to. I just was myself. But I don't understand. The way that I put this is it feels like God wanted to kill me because I almost went home and it found out that I'm not ready and I didn't want to die.
It's okay, Lord. Yeah, it's okay. Just let it come up.
I live scared now. Maybe I was before, but I know it now. And
Scared of what, Lori?
they don't know what it is, but they keep putting me on medication and it doesn't stop. I think it was seizures. And then my whole body hurts because I slammed into the ground and then got a brain injury. And I know that I changed. I guess I'm nicer now and softer now. But I'm also really scared. I'm scared if it's hard for me in the morning to see straight, literally. And I thought, what's the point? What's the point? Because being afraid to die isn't the same as wanting to live. But I feel like it gets you to the same place at the end, which is living. And I'm pretty well physically, I have to be careful of my words. Undone. I was going to say destroyed, but I'm not destroyed. Um, but I feel under intense reorganization, and I don't know. I think it would help me to understand. And I'm being told it's none of your business. I'm like, I kind of feel like it is because I like to know the point so I can make use of it because I'm afraid of it happening again. And I feel like that would be it, I think. And I kind of didn't want to know in advance how I'm going. Um, I don't know if this makes any sense. Half the time I don't.
A response is present. So, there's a statement that I heard John Roger make in sharing with people more than once. And he said, to a tough steak comes a sharp knife. And my encouragement is to ask the question, and you could place this question into your bedtime intentions, into your meditation. What is my soul attempting to assist me in healing and learning through these experiences? And the other encouragement I have for you, Lori, is that make your spiritual practice your priority. So that could include some form of meditation, could include prayer. It could be asking questions of your inner counselor and asking for spirit's guidance and wisdom. It could be free-form writing as a way of clearing unresolved patterns and material within your consciousness. I just encourage you, there are ways that you can utilize the time that and the process that you're in a way that demonstrate to yourself in spirit the clarity of your intention to respond to this in a way that you utilize it for your growth, learning, and upliftment. You utilize it in a way to be loyal to your own soul. There is spiritual purpose in this. I can't tell you what that purpose is, Lori. I don't know that, but I do know there is one. And I do gently encourage you to work with the basic tools that you know that are in service to clearing your own consciousness and to restoring yourself to the awareness of the love that you are.
And to add to what Mary is saying, I would encourage you in an affirmation as many times a day as you can think of it. And it's really very simple. It's, Lord, I surrender. Thy will be done through me.
I can remember that.
No,
I will not.
Lord, I surrender. Thy will be done through me. So if it's thy will that tomorrow is my last day here, so be it.
I'm not quite there yet. I can say the words, but I'm scared of dying.
Okay. So it just might be helpful to know that there is no such thing. Your physical form may change, but not your essence.
Is part of what you're talking about, Mary, non-dominant handwriting?
You can do that. You can do free-form writing. And I encourage you in cultivating your relationship with the divine. I encourage you in listening to something like Anita Moorjani's book, Don't Be Me, that talks about her near-death experience. It is breathtaking.
That's the thing I was trying to remember before.
Yeah.
That I asked Kirk to tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Usually, I'll be honest, usually after I have contact with you two, I feel better, and I don't. It's like real, I'm still scared. It's a matter of, I think, I don't know the God I have.
I encourage you. It's like the basic self lives kind of just below your belly button in most people. And the basic self runs the body. And if you can talk with the basic self in a loving and nurturing way, and you could, that could begin to help dissipate the fear. And if you can listen to Anita Moorjani's book, I think that would be very comforting and very reassuring to you, Lori.
Okay.
Because part of it is there's parts of you that don't know did you begin this sharing by saying I'm the prodigal daughter? I believe you did, didn't you? Well, then you know that story.
It's the one that misbehaved that returns to the family.
Well, misbehaved, I'm not sure I would characterize it that way, but the one who left home and went out and spent his wealth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but eventually returned home and was welcomed with great love, with a great feast, with great celebration and honor.
I'd rather come home to you guys than to go home to home. I don't want to go home yet.
Well, you're still here.
We're living in that place.
And I would say you're still here, Lori. You're still here.
When you go over there, you're going to be very surprised. We're going to be going, hi.
You cook. Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lori.
It's really good to see you.
It's good to
I'm
see
not going anywhere. Okay? I'm not going. I got stuff to do.
Okay,
That's between you and God.
Unless it's your
We're not
time.
in charge of that.
I know. Thank you.
Bless you. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're going to do a short guided meditation to complete the evening. So I invite us once again to ask for the clearing. We ask for the light of the Holy Spirit. I invite you to bring your awareness into your heart, into the place inside of you that knows what loyalty to your soul means, that is aware of the remembrance of the power and presence of love within you, and that spark of the divine within you is infused with the light of living love. And that wherever you go, whomever you meet, you can meet them as the presence of love. You can see the loving essence. You can be the loving essence. And in so doing, you bring blessings, not only to yourself, but to those around you. You are the presence of love. And in the place within you that is your soul essence, that soul essence knows your soul's purpose. It knows your purpose to awaken, to remember who you are. It also knows that part of your soul's purpose that has to do with the gifts that you came to share. And I invite you to reside in that place of remembrance, of knowing, yes, my purpose is to share the loving that is my essential nature. And yes, my soul's purpose is to share the gifts that I came to share, whatever those gifts may be. And through your experience here at USM, and for those of you new to USM, perhaps from your USM acquaintances and friends, you may also be aware of the practices, the myriad of practices that are part of spiritual psychology that support you in the loyalty to your soul. Perhaps most powerful is compassionate self-forgiveness. I forgive myself for judging myself as unworthy. I forgive myself for forgetting who I am. I forgive myself for buying into the illusion that I'm separate and not valuable. I forgive myself as I restore myself to the loving, as I open my spiritual eyes. There's so many practices, and we love and support and encourage you. Remember, you are the presence of love. Your soul knows your purpose. It knows the gifts you came to share. And there are so many practices that are designed to support you in the remembrance and in assisting you in making choices that honor you and loyalty to your soul. Namaste. And so be it. All right. Well, let's unmute everyone so that we can all say goodnight. We love you dearly. We're so grateful that you're here with us this evening. We'll be announcing the next gathering soon after the first of the year. It'll be in January. We're intending to have one a month, continue with all of this and keep it going. Have the most beautiful and blessed holiday. And Eliza, whatever you'd like to share to wrap.
Oh, we love you so much.
Good night. I love you.
Good night, bye. Good night, Mary, John,
Good night.
Juan.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Thank
you.
We love you.
Love you both.
Love you.
Thank you,
Have a good
everybody.
one.
Thank you so much.
Love you, Birdie. Bye.
Mary.
Bye.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Thank you.
Love you.
Night, everybody. Love you.
Good night, everybody. Good to see you.
Night, Kevin. Love you, buddy.
Love everyone. Happy
Love you too,
holidays.
Ken.
Bye.
See
Love
ya.
you both and thank you so much.
Good night, Michelle.
Love you, Ron.
Good night, honey. Have a good one. Have a yummy holiday.
Good night, Celine.
We love you.
Night, Eliza.
Good night, Katrina.
Thank you, Ron and Mary.
Thank you.
Love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night. Oh, did I see
Thank
John
you.
Dale? Good night, John Dale.
John Dale.
Thank you. Thank you so much.